Has the world ever tried to make you be something that you're not? Well, today we're talking to Rowdy, the Dixie original, about the fire and the passion that it takes to put things together and make things happen. He's been everything that you could imagine on the road. He's a musician and he's a great guy. And by the end of this, I know that you're going to have the fire and passion that it takes to get back out there and try again on your own personal journey.
Dixie is by grace, country ain't a choice. Can't choose or change the sound in your voice. More than just orange and white, checkered up on a Saturday night. Ain't just 3 stars on a flying red flag. We were first on the scene, 16 on the tag bob with blood and sweat. And we're damn sure proud of it. Tennessee grit.
Man, that song Tennessee Grit, every time I listen to that song, I just feel like I'm standing on top of Mount LeConte with my shirt off and a bald eagle just comes and lands on my shoulder, man. Like, if they don't play that at the UT games, they need to play it when they walk out.
Matt, you and about 15 other people have been gunning after that song, going straight to the Vols organization and trying to get them to use it, especially during football season. People posting and making their own edits of videos with the boys in orange, going out and taking on Name One, right? So it's like I'm very grateful for the traction that song's gotten us. But you're right. I feel the same way. I feel like I'm standing on top of Holston Mountain, overlooking the Holston River Valley, and once again, screaming eagles,
Yeah,
wild buck running everywhere. Turkeys flocking over the top.
absolutely.
But yeah, I mean that song for me was like I just kind of said to myself, there's just not enough like Tennessee songs with grit like that makes you get the energy of like I'm all about like the sort of the foundations of our state and the volunteer like aspect of it, like putting our boots on and literally going and just taking care of business in order for us to have property and farms and peace. Sometimes we got to go take care of business and make sure and to make sure of that. And I feel like that's what the early days of Tennessee was all about. If you lived here, you were not afraid to put on your boots, grab your gun, and go fight for something you love so much. The peace of mind and the ability to overlook from a mountain and have eagles flying. And, I just feel like I like carrying that spirit on through those songs. And Tennessee Grit's one of those. I feel like I get to flex that Tennessee pride a little bit, flex that muscle a little bit.
For sure. It definitely gets me going. I just love that you're passionate about it too. And you write a song that you absolutely enjoy yourself. And I think that shines through in the song.
Me and a good buddy of mine, we wrote songs together for better part of 10 years in East Tennessee. And there's so much from that era in the early 2000s that I just kind of carried along with me, making my journey to Nashville and getting in rooms with other songwriters and other artists. Like I just didn't want to lose that grit. I didn't want to lose that energy that's kind of like sort of brought to life through some of my favorite bands. The energy, like especially rock music. I wanted to kind of capture that same energy, but coming to Nashville, you could easily be stripped of that if you followed what just other people's ideas. That's one thing about being original. Not to shift into Rowdy Dixie original, but the premise of that is that I wanted to keep my own inspiration and my own creativity something of what I grew up, what shaped me. The music I grew up in and the music that shaped me. Want to encapsulate that and that same energy and the intensity. And coming to Nashville is hard to find other people who really saw that vision and wanted to gravitate towards it. But I'm just doing what I love. I'm writing songs that I want to write. I'm creating energy and vibrations and creating moments in songs that I want to feel. Ultimately, being able to share it with you and all you wonderful people out there in listening world.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really cool. So let's go into your background a little bit. So you come from the East Tennessee area, is that right?
Yeah. Grew up in Sullivan County, right there between Bristol, Kingsport, and Johnson City, the Tri-City area there. Um, Man, running the roads in whatever vehicle we kept running at the time, fishing and hunting. Spent a lot of time with my high school friends, in the church too. It was great. I was part of an awesome youth group that the youth minister was really passionate about live music, and he kind of matched me and a few other guys up and formed a band.
Oh, very cool.
And I played bass, and my best friends played guitars and sang and drums, and we toured the country as a youth group, and it was sort of an ensemble, a choir, but we always had live music, live band, live performed music. Never sang to tracks, never did any of that.
That's
He
awesome.
just really liked that aspect. I'm thankful for that because that's what really broke me into it. And growing up in a gospel family too, a family of singers, there's so many amazing voices and talents in my family that I just probably will never be brought to public light just for the sheer fact that they just kept it between them and the Lord,
Sure.
church, singing amongst family, and that's about it. But beautiful voices, things that made, like, as a kid, set me back in my seat, and I would feel things I wouldn't understand it.
Now, we
But I
talking
always
Southern
I always
gospel?
kind of chased that.
We talking Southern gospel?
Yeah, Southern
Yeah.
gospel. We're talking, the pivot, like sort of into the new kind of Christian music at the time too, with all the Christian bands, Christian rock bands, and there wasn't so much with like blues or country within the Christian world, but the rock music, was
Yeah.
something. It was really permitted, and the obviously our parents smiled upon it because it had a great message to it. But the energy of the rock music, obviously, it let us get away. It let us it allowed us a place to let our dog eat, like kind of
Yeah.
this, like we could, play that music and play with intensity. But essentially, that drive to be in a band and play music, but with growing up in a gospel country music kind of family, I kind of blended the two because I love to sing and I love the feeling that old hymns and harmonies and bluegrass music made me feel. Going to Dollywood and hearing the music coming out of the rocks, like
Yeah.
just kind of, you just kind of felt the vibrations in a certain way. And I always just kind of chased after that. So whether it was in a church pew or playing music myself or sitting at my grandmother's house, doing a sing along, doing, everybody doing, whether it be harmonies or everybody would be kind of singing along in a hymnal, like there's just be certain harmonies that would just always do something to
You
me
could feel it.
and made me feel it. And I just
Yeah.
wanted to kind of express that myself through music and just kind of took off on a journey of chasing that, like trying to recreate that in my own creativity and my own songwriting. And that's where a lot of like the emotional aspects of my music and songs I've collaborated with other artists and other writers with. There's just something moving about certain notes and the arrangement of that. And I was very particular about that early on. But the energy of what rock music brings, like that's sort of where I cut my teeth,
Yeah.
songwriting in general, and then bringing that to Nashville and meeting a few people that were kind of cut from that same cloth allowed me to have a lane,
Yeah.
to really kind of put my music down and, build a decent little fan base and meet a lot of really cool people, uh, utilize a lot of other people's talents that were so generous to kind of help me along the way. And, I never lost those roots. I'll go back to East Tennessee. I'll go back to, my stomping grounds with music and literally have a playlist of cradle music, stuff I listened to in my incubation, like
Yeah.
of growing in music, and always reminding myself, remember where it came from, to essentially to continue to capture that energy. My first jobs were, working, whether it be maintenance, with apartments or, mowing lawns, landscaping, all those, always the one thing was always involved was a radio.
Okay.
And whether it was on 96.9 WXBQ or whether it was on 101.5 WQUT, classic rock, country, and then, of course, whatever modern rock was at the time. But I was way more intrigued with AC/DC,
Oh, yeah.
Foghat, Molly Hatchet, and Skinner.
For sure.
And then, of course, the country greats at the time, 90s country. I was always a big fan, Brad Paisley and Kenny Chesney and Tim McGraw. And then you take it back a little farther, I'm a big fan of country bands. I
Okay.
love Diamond Rio. I love Alabama, Confederate Railroad, Black Hawk. Like, country bands always made more of an impression to me than just an artist.
Okay.
There's something about the band aspect. And like I said, it just kind of stuck with me. I've kind of chased that ever since. And then I understand the band element, which a lot of people in Nashville, it's not encouraged very much to be in a band, because
Right.
that means you're sharing ownership, which means a smaller piece of the pie at the end of the day with business. But I find the creativity that satisfies me is not just something that's projected upon me and my name to go and represent. No, I want this guitar player and that bass player and that drummer, that keyboardist, organ player, that steel guitar auxiliary player. Every one of them better be bringing it.
Yeah.
Like, they better. Like, I want all the best drivers in the stables to be firing these songs off with me, and let them absolutely have their corner of everything that's going on. I think I will get a better experience for people, for the audience, a better experience for the fans. I feel like I will get a better element functioning as a band, working with a band, than I would ever do solo as Riley or Rowdy. I've tried that. We tried it. There was a couple songs that kind of made sense, and it was like, all right, we're going to do this thing. We're going to go down this lane. But Nashville just wasn't ready for that. Nashville wasn't ready for anything with teeth. And it doesn't make sense for a solo artist to have teeth, but it makes sense for a band to have teeth. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, that's kind of the reasoning and sort of the logistics behind my approach as a brand, as songwriting, as a sound even. My cohort, JJ Revell, my best friend, my main man, my brother, a brother in bond, deeper than blood, honest to God.
So that's
Him and I have been writing songs together for a better part of 10 years.
where the handlers
And
comes from then, right?
What's that?
That's where you came up with the handlers now.
Now the handlers, the whole aspect of the handlers, that comes from sort of the background of our careers and production and touring, music touring, working as crew for other artists. But JJ and I, essentially, we both worked for a band called Under Oath, and him and I just kind of met each other simply based off necessity. I was called back to the gig after Aaron had a hiatus. He came back to drum for the band, and JJ's a friend of the guitar player, and he's super young at the time, and he was just cutting his teeth, just needing something to do.
Sure.
And his parents kind of like turned over like guardianship to one of the band members, and he's like, hey, why don't you just come work for us? And we got great guys. We're all big brothers, right?
Yeah.
So we met, and we just kind of looked at each other oddly for a few days, like, what's up with you? There's 11 years between us. And I was just like, I'm here doing this. What are you doing? And then hearing him say, I'm still figuring that out. And I'm like, well, dude, let me help you cut your teeth. I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
So we hit it off. The main reason we hit it off is because our first stop after pre-production was Dallas, Texas, playing South by So What. We pulled into a hotel parking lot, had like 2 days off, and then we're going to play our show at South by So What. Well, when I go out on tours, I've kind of got like a tradition where I will go find, and I don't have to do it anymore. Luckily, I'm thankful for all the endorsements of guitars that I've gotten since the days of old. But in that time, I would go to some consignment store and just not spend over $20 on anything. And I just was like, hey, I'm looking for something that you're going to throw in the trash. Like something that, like, I can take care of all of it. Like, that's what I do for a job. I take care of musical instruments.
Yeah.
All I need is I just need it to be present. It doesn't matter what shape it's in. I'll make it do what I want it to do. I need a piece of wood about yay long with a hole in the middle, maybe like a spot to put some strings, and maybe something to do this with it. Just give me something that's close to that. And this one guy's like, I got this one for 25 or 30. I was like, nah, I always can't be over $20.
Okay.
I'm like, nah, I'm good. And there's a couple other spots where I have this kid goes, I've got like a guitar in my car. If you're interested, you want to look at it? I'm like, all right, how much? He's like $10. I'm like, I don't even care what it is. Let's go. And he took me out there to the trunk, and dude, sure as the world, little parlor guitar, some no name, I don't even know. This had some weight to it. So I'm like, oh, well, this is probably a clone of some type from, whatever, China or Indonesia. But I was like, I can make this work. So I went straight down to the bus, got some super glue, found a big old rock just over somewhere, and the bridge was lifted. So that just basically means the back end of the guitar. Do you see my guitar right there?
Yeah.
That dark spot above my finger, that's the bridge, right?
Right.
Well, that had completely lifted off the top of it and was just dangling with the strings. And I'm like, okay, well, I've got strings, yay, but I've got to fix this bridge back on here.
Yeah.
So I took a bunch of super glue, scraped off as much as I could of what was left, took some super glue, dumped it all around there, and just took that bridge, put it on top of the guitar, and set that rock on top of it, put it out in the sun, leaned against this fire hydrant, and just kind of just walked off back into the hotel. Well, unbeknownst to me, JJ is literally sitting in the window of the bus overlooking everything that I've been doing for like an hour and a half. And he's just up there going, what is this guy doing? Like, what in the world is this person? And I did not know. So, sure as the world, later on, I came back after the sun went down, took the rock off. Dude, it was great. It worked out fantastic. I got him to shave down a couple of the frets to get enough buzz out of it. I wrote a whole record on that tour with JJ. Eventually, a few days down the road, he caught on. That's what I was doing.
Okay.
And he kind of got involved with it and just come sit down and be like, hey, what are you doing there? And then he would kind of strum it and he'd be like, dude, how are you playing this? I'm like, it ain't for you, bud. This is my guitar. I don't need critiquing, dog. But him and I just got real close on that tour. This is 2016.
Okay.
We got real close on that tour, and we just started writing. Anytime our days off, we had a hotel room. We would room together. We were roomies, and we just hole up in the room, bottle of whiskey, maybe pack of smokes, and we just write. And like I said, we've been doing it that way ever since. Honestly, his back porch is now the bus, and the studio we have down there is now the front lounge, how it used to be, recording on our phones.
That's cool.
Honest to God, like we still do everything the same exact way. It's just like I said, now, thank you to our endorsers, we actually have real guitars that work. We don't need rocks or super glue.
That's awesome.
But anyways, that just, yeah, like that, that's sort of the aspect of the in a nutshell what the handlers mean. You need something done, you do it yourself. And we've been DIYing this whole thing from the beginning, from writing our songs. JJ is an incredible engineer, producer, a savant at music, just perfect pitch off the top of his head. He's a really gifted guy. And I wanted to take full advantage of and sort of bolster his talents and combine them with my ability of melody and writing and his ability of composing music and hearing notes and different phrasings and notes. And we just started doing this thing together. We put, like I said, we've written 7-8 records worth of songs and hundreds of more than that are not even considered. We're our relationship's growing and being able to sync music and send it off to NBC and Fox for NASCAR and
That's awesome.
baseball and TV shows, and it's just grown. But one thing's not changed. We're still those two guys with that beat ass guitar in the middle of a parking lot, smoking a cig and drinking a beer and writing about something we love so much. And it's not hard to do anymore. It's kind of natural. We've got a good process in line. Want to also say, Aaron Buckingham, drummer, amazing drummer. Check out Stealing Peaches. JJ is out with Amberlynn right now. He's handling right now. He's literally doing monitors for the band Amberlynn. Cool. Connor, my right hand man, we both work stage right for a country artist, and he's a guitar tech, and him and I work together with the same artist, so it works out great. Our schedules are the same. He's a badass. He's a monster at guitar. And then there's John Dorney. He's my stage left guitar guy. Stevie Ray Vaughan in the flesh. Honestly, like just the likings of Joe Walsh, Steve Miller, like blues. I mean, ZZ Top blues background, like and he's 24 years old.
Wow.
He's just like, it's unbelievable talent. But these boys and Rev, James Westfall in Texas, he's been my organ keys guy for so long. We've got so many good problems. If we're not short on good problems, that's for damn sure. But these guys, they're the band. They're the nuts and bolts. And every time we've gotten together in a room, we've pumped out a brand new song that's the best song we've ever written. And we're literally at that spot. And we're very grateful to be at that spot because now we're busting out songs while we're sitting in the actual studio room, and we're able to hit record and capture these songs live in real time immediately and not waste a second of time. It's been an incredible process to get to where we're at, and the energy's all there. Everybody's all in. And like I said, we take care of everything ourselves. The handlers is a lifestyle. It's a way of life. It's not just a band or a label or a brand or a name. It's genuinely like something, cowboying up and bootstrapping to get it done. If you want it done and done right, you do it yourself.
Man, I love it. So, what's your first memory actually performing music?
Oh, you're going to love this. What grade was that? I want to say it was like second grade, third grade.
Oh, young.
Maybe, no, actually, wow, before that. I have a really good memory. I can vividly remember preschool and like kindergarten. Like I remember so much stuff. I don't know what it was. It's just I've always been about capturing moments, capturing things. Like especially if it made me feel a certain way, I'm like, I got to remember this, and I naturally just remember it. But I would say like in kindergarten, I played the chimney sweeper in Mary Poppins and did the whole chim chimney, chim chimney.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I had like my voice is kind of hoarse, and
Sure.
it's this time of year for some reason. I don't know why, but it's maybe the dust, the pollen, whatever. But it was the same. I felt the same exact way at 4 years old, whatever, 5, singing chim chimney. And I remember seeing people's faces in the audience going like this, like it sounded like it hurt, or like they're like, oh, his voice is really gravelly. And I thought it was like I was diving, I thought I was like absolutely like just grotesque performance. And afterwards I remember going up to some of the parents, people like, dude, how did it sound? They're like, oh baby, you did so fine. How's your throat feel? And I'm like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. But no, I just for some reason that's just always stuck out to me. But I was always involved in chorus.
Sure.
Always involved in we'd have every holiday, right? Every local parade. We're always singing songs, but things really ramped up in the performance, songwriting, and band setting, and midway high school, freshman, sophomore,
Okay.
maybe even a little bit of 8th grade going into freshman year. It really like popped off sophomore year. Had a friend whose dad was pretty strict about stuff, but like this, I lived out in the country, always have. They lived sort of suburb, closer to town. So they were like one street away from each other, and I'm like 25 minutes away.
Okay.
So they kind of made a little band. And there's a drummer, guitar player, bass player. The bass player, dad's a little strict. He asked for like a bass and a bass amp, little whatever starter pack for Christmas. Literally 1 week, and his dad's like, gotta go. Gotta get it out of there. And he's like, dude, I got this bass. I can't play anymore. Dad won't let me. And I'm like, well, I'll buy it off of you. And I was like, how am I going to get 100? It was like $100 or something. I was like, how am I going to get to that? And like, there's a grocery store I was hiring. And then this guy I was buying it from worked at the grocery store. So I was like, hey, give me a job and I'll pay you for this stuff. Like, make it work. Like, you've got what I need. You've got the hook up with a job. Like, just make it happen. And he did. He got me hired. And first paycheck literally was paid enough to go and buy that bass and that bass amp, quit the next like week. Started going over to the boys' house and started jamming. So it was like, I was able to gain, I guess what I needed based off of his situation. But anyway, we always laughed about that. He was always the one that was like driven career, and I'd have side jobs, but I was touring. I was gone. I was playing shows, and he was always like, "So, how's it going?" And he's like, I feel like you stole my life.
No,
I'm like,
man,
no,
that's your
man,
choice.
I'm working hard. He's like, no, I could have never done that. He's like, I don't even get it. And I'm like, it takes a special person to be able to do what we do out here for sure.
Absolutely, man. So what's your most memorable performance?
Pete probably playing Song of the Mountains on PBS. Tim White, he's got an awesome program up in Marion, Virginia. The old Lincoln Theater, I think it is. I think it's what it's called.
I think that's right.
Don't quote me on that, Tim. But anyways, Tim White, bluegrass, like professor. Like he is a purveyor of bluegrass old time country music. Check him out, Tim White. He's got a radio show he did for years on AM 640 there in East Tennessee. And he, big, huge contributor and huge preservationist, I guess, of like the Bristol music historical, Appalachian historical, anything that has to do with music in the Appalachians. Him and his wife single-handedly like carried that. Before there was a Birthplace of Country Music Museum, before there was any family farm fun time, before there was anything like that, Tim White is the man. He's the guy that, like I said, that sort of just was able to preserve so much history and heritage there in East Tennessee and Southwest Virginia. But anyways, Song of the Mountains is an awesome program. I got a whole live performance with some good friends of mine. We traveled up there on a weekend and played the show. We were matched up with Michael Cleveland, who's a great fiddle player, and another family bluegrass band, but a couple great performances. I would say that's probably one of the most memorable ones because it's, like I said, it's sort of immortalized there on PBS. You just check out Riley England and the Big Guns. That was the crawling stage of having a band.
Yeah.
In a sense of like experience.
Sure.
But as far as like talent, some of the best players I've ever had, Will and Tommy and Jeremiah, those boys were angry with their talent. They're still killing it here in Nashville. That's of course. Awesome. That's a beautiful thing about doing it with with a band kind of setting is because I can't keep everybody. I can't keep who I want. There's no way I can. I can't cover a 401k or salary at that.
Right.
So they give me their time, and I try my best to just allow any opportunity for them to gain off of what I'm doing to happen, and as a way, compensate something, but utilize any of this opportunity for your own gain, for just exercising your generosity and being so talented, and it's been that way from the get go. And I like to say the Johnny Duke and Sadler Vaden days. Both of those guys are monsters of their own lane of music. Sadler is a musical creature and being, once again, just an enormous guitar talent. He's a Townsend, a The Who meets the Beatles, meets the Stones. Like he's unbelievable. And then Johnny Duke is Ry Cooder meets Little Feat meets Mike Campbell, Tom Petty, like just these guys are creatures. Yeah. Like I said, they're prehistoric. They predate any type of like flash pan candy music. These guys have it. It's in their hands.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, the way you talk about bands, like I can concur. Like when you play with other people, you get that energy from those people, and each person has their own energy. And some people, they make you feel and react a certain way, and you're going to perform even sometimes the same song differently depending on who you're playing with.
Right.
Yeah. I like that. I love your energy about that.
I've got to play right. And I've got to play in front of the arenas, got to play in front, whatever, stadiums, got to play in front of just, awesome venues, more on the intimate scale. Rock venues are the best. They're so much fun. Everybody's on top of each other, and the energy's just right there in the dead center.
Definitely.
But honestly, like I've enjoyed some of the most fun I've enjoyed. Other than with my job playing Red Rocks and playing like Square Gardens and playing like these festivals over the top of canyons and out overlooking the West Coast. And there's just so many essential crown jewel places, and getting to do something that is an echo of the past in the Appalachians or in Bristol, or like somewhere like Muscle Shoals, or somewhere like Macon, Georgia, somewhere like Clay County, Florida. I'm naming hometowns of
Yeah.
like my heroes, all my rock heroes. Getting to do something there has stood out to me more than any of those big crown jewel venues will ever do. Because they have their own energy, right? They have their own sort of mountaintop, right? But if you get to be considered to sort of be a part of something that your heroes also sort of reveled in, which is that intimacy, these cradles, like Sun Studios in Memphis. Yeah, Stax, same way, Stax Records, and any of these places that are echoes of the past, and the energy is still there of the pioneering of music, of feeling, soul music, blues music. I always gravitate to spots that have a historical marker out in the front end of them.
Yeah.
Just I don't know. I'm a sucker for stories. Venues and concerts and performances are one thing, but experiences, man, like moments. I got to see Tedeschi Trucks and Black Crows up in the Pinewood Theater at North, Detroit, Michigan. One hot summer day in Michigan, man. Like, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that day. And it's like I said, it's more momentous. It's more about creating those snapshots, those timelines, and honestly, being an artist, giving people that snapshot so they could take it home and remember the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of the coolest spots have not been about the size. It's more about the moment and the what's in the walls, more or less.
For sure. So you've not only done music, but you've actually done a little acting. You were in the Devil's Damned to Try. Is that the only acting you've ever done?
No, I did something fun with the Colonel, Joe Garner. It's Mind Control is the name of the music video. It's called Mind Control, and I played this character that ravages a grocery store, taking it all out on the grocery store, and then the spin at the end is that I actually work in the grocery store and I got to go clean up the mess I just made.
Okay.
But I did that with Marshall Burnett, and it's out there in YouTube. Yeah, so if you looked up Mind Control, the Colonel,
all right,
you'll see one of my debuts of I guess acting.
Have to check that out.
Yeah, this music video, and then of course Devil's Damned to Try. That was also with Marshall Burnett.
Man, that was awesome. I
wrote the score with one of my good buddies.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's wild because it was sort of a touch and go thing.
If it had been 2 hours long, at the pace and tone it was, I would have watched it all. It was good. You
mentioned that, and I think I've heard that a few times before too. There was some. We of course took it to Sundance. We were trying to get some traction.
Yeah.
Just try to see if there was something that could develop from it. And then there was a couple other concepts he had with the same kind of character, but I think what ended up happening is Marshall's a great producer, great director, unbelievable talent. Him and his now wife, they moved out to Denver and just really got more or less busy in production out there. And then music sort of started taking a bit more. It's always been there, but the commitment to the music and it taking up more of my career schedule sort of took place. I did kind of audition for a few other things, and I'm always open to it. I really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the process of telling story in another way. Character development is something that I'm already willing in. It's already a wheelhouse for me. I'm already developing these scenarios and scenes and moments, right? Snapshots.
Sure.
I'm like, I could play that person which is in that, I like, and obviously I'm kind of bottlenecked being the way I look, how big I am. And it's like, I really can only play sort of like Baker, or sort of like, Paul Bunyan, and just kind of keep it singular, I guess.
I think you got more depth than you realize there.
I mean, it's not about the depth. It's more or less the look, right?
Well,
like, even if you cut all this off, it's just a big old baby face.
You say that, but so things are changing in the creator world, and I got a lot of friends that actually do produce movies and things like that, and things are flying that you wouldn't expect. Hollywood wouldn't produce it, but yeah, you see different types of people playing different types of characters now, and I think you got a lot of depth.
I appreciate that. I do. Like I said, I'm wide open for it. I would love to give it a go. I feel like I have the presence to be able to harness something like that, and more than that, I'm very passionate about creativity. So it's like I want. And devil's damned, I did immerse. I went straight up 6D. You know, whatever you want, whatever that interactive experience. I went all the way there. It was an old Civil War like encampment where hundreds of men died.
Yeah,
And we said it at everything that we did that was involved nighttime or like the struggle part was right there. Was at us literally. I was sitting in a rut that they had dug out to hold people, basically keep people from rolling away.
Oh wow.
Like just like I mean, we built a fire right there, and like we immersed ourselves in that torture aspect, like trying to go there in this guy's mind, like how is it, you know, and bring light to something. You know, there's a couple little things in that script that we even switched around. He was talking about whiskey. I was like, you know what, man? Like, I'll be real honest with you. I've been on the road for quite some time, and the dudes that I've been running with, like if they got a vice, it's Jaeger. It's
Yeah.
not whiskey.
Yeah.
And then he just let me have that. I was like what? Wait, I'm like, we're in the South. Like people are obviously going to run the bottom shelf whiskey, whether it be like Old Crow or Grandpa's or whatever.
Right.
Something, you know. No hate on Old Crow. Shout out. But no, like I was like, the dudes that I've been running with, the ones that I see that are tortured, Jaeger is their vice. And he was like, cool, do it. And I was like, this might not go anywhere, but hey, it's immortalized. It's captured. It's like, it does mean something because he let my character play this thing, you know, and we didn't follow off any reasoning or any other development other than what I came up with. And I practiced. I practiced in the mirror. I took pictures of myself like in real weird predicament, like very spots that are, you know, like make the setting like somewhere that is kind of jeopardized as far as like cleanliness and you know, trash, like kind of not kept up, and would just sit in it and just kind of feel it and feel the sort of the mental poverty happening,
Yeah.
you know, in someone that's really that far down. And eventually, I had great friends around me. That was immediately I was able to come up out of it, but really tried. Like I said, I'm all about going really far into a character to just make sure it's portrayed absolutely to the most realistic way. Once again, trying to move people, man. That's all I'm trying to do.
And
Everything I do, I'm trying to move people.
It definitely worked in that because, I mean, your emotion definitely came through. You could tell that you believed in the character, that you became the character, and it just...
Oh, man. That scene of fighting in the break room, that was that.
Yeah.
That was, dude, here's a little bit of a nugget for you. We just never really talked about it, but we're pretty statute limitations. I guess we're pretty far. We're far out enough. But this wood mill, I guess, sawmill, beautiful spot, man. The people there were so generous for us to be there that day. And we shot everything like over a week period. I was living in East Tennessee, fresh through just some life. Just went through some real. Just muddy, stuck in the mud life. You know, nothing jeopardizing to my health, nothing jeopardizing to my integrity, but just life. And just, I had to go through some stuff, and I walked through it, came out on the other side stronger, obviously. But going straight from maybe 2 months worth of dealing with some stuff, going straight to the shoot for this short film.
Yeah.
And I was in it. I just was feeling it. I'm telling, Marshall, I'm in a good spot, man. I'm in a real good spot. And drove to Nashville, stayed at their place. He put me up in his guest bedroom or his roommate's bedroom. His roommate went to stay with the girl. We did it on budget. Once again, handlers here.
Yeah.
But we dispatched from the house to go shoot all the places, like everywhere we went. We was just from this house, so we all stayed at the house together. So we were hanging out nighttime and everything. But like anytime it came to me getting the character, they would definitely just like leave me alone, like absolutely let me just be. So we went and shot the scene at the sawmill in the break room. Like I didn't talk to nobody. Like I just went on my own. I'm out just walking in circles, basically, like trying to feel it. And everybody, when they walked by me, they just kind of slightly looked at me. They kind of checking on me, but making sure, like, okay, I'm not gonna bother them, but just want to make sure, like, we're good. And so I could kind of feel it all day, but I never wanted to come up out of it and be like, hey, it's okay. No, you don't do that. You stay, right? You stay submersed. And I was in this moment where we shot all these 5 or 6 shots and 5 different scenes, all in this one little area. It was like the time clock was here. You walk through the door, all of the time card punches and everything, all the slips are right here. You turn around, here's the vending machines. Behind that's picnic tables, and everything. Like we did like 5 or 6 different scenes all in this one. So we were all in this one little area, and no one's talking to me. No one's really talking at all. Somebody might crack a joke every once in a while, but I just didn't come up out of it, and it was really weird for them because when we did debrief at the end of the days, I'd have to come up out of it and be like, I'm good, guys. Like I'm ready to hang out, start cracking jokes, but I stayed in it. So the scene where we're in the break room, we went straight from punching the clock, and this guy, one of the actors, amazing actor, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he was the one interacting with me like he's my boss. And he just kept coming, like laying into me, and rightfully so, he's in character. But like even when we're off the camera, he's still just like, he's still just like, can we get this right? Like very blunt and brute, like to me.
So that
and
was
I'm
his
like,
personality. He wasn't just.
I'm eating it up, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, because he's a sweetheart.
Okay.
He's actually like shaved it, but he grew out the scruff. Looked a whole lot like Jeff Daniels.
Yeah.
Like, he looked a whole like, but a mean Jeff Daniels, right?
So he was doing the same thing you're doing at this time.
Dude, exactly. But like they didn't. You understand, we're a budget crew, so a lot of us kids,
right?
People, they were getting college credits off this. Not getting paid a dime, spending their money out of their own pocket. But these are kids seeing this for the first time, and we're 2 grown. He's probably 15, 20 years older than me. 2 grown adults looking like we're about to go at it, and they're just like kind of freaked out. And Marshall kept coming up to me, going, "Dude, this is great. Like this is fantastic." I can't. And I'm like, okay. And I'm just like, I'm just kind of staying in it. But he stayed in it too. And we just kept going back and forth. So he came, the scene where I punch the clock. He's like, he's like, it's the second time this week. And I'm just looking at him, and I'm already starting to feel the fume. I'm like, dude, if you only understood, like I'm literally in the character, just like, if you only understood what I'm feeling, what I'm going through, you would not be coming up to me saying this right now. And we just let it build. We let it build. I mean, I put him through that vending machine. Like after I pushed him, put him through the vending machine.
Yeah.
And slammed it and punched, all the stuff. The vending machine was toast. It stopped working. And dude, it was flashing. It started smoking. We unplugged it. And we're just like looking at each other. And he's like, all right, now, you know what? Let me look back real quick. And he like kind of looked back in his viewfinder, and he's like, I think we got it. I think we got the shot. He's like, let's go out to the sawmill now. Let's just get out because it's the actual break room for the freaking sawmill.
Oh
and we
my
just
God.
like blew up one of their snack machines. So it's like, we're just like, okay. And I once again, it happened. We blew up the snack machine, but I didn't come out of character, and neither did he. And it was just like we were just 2 pissed off dudes, just like in this situation, and no one like Inception style spin the little thing to see if it like turns over. No one knew it was real or not. What was real? They're like, oh my God. So we went out did the sawmill scene, and it was fine because all I had to do was stand there. There's like B-roll, and I kind of got to cool down a little bit, but I just made sure I kept it on my face. But dude, we went all the way there and destroyed that vending machine.
That's awesome. Man, let's go back to your music a little bit. Your creative process when you're crafting a new song. Do you have any kind of rituals or any kind of sources for inspiration as you start to write a new song?
Yes, I burned the hair of a 2-year-old goat, and um, it has to be only Bing cherries from Flint, Michigan. I know.
Well, there you go.
No, anyways, no, Michigan cherries are delicious. So are Washington cherries. I'm totally into that. But speaking of cherries, I call it cherry picking,
Uh huh.
and I'm not going to say that I took that I took a move out of Taylor Swift's book at all. I'm not going to say that.
No.
But she said something, God, years ago when she was a kid. I think she's talking about cherry picking
Sure.
and just constantly purging and releasing content to put it down, document it, whether it be notes on your phone, piece of paper, no matter what. But I have, letting that flow happen, not just in the creative space, not just when you're in a room, not just for arrangements or appointments, but literally having that valve open all the time. Even when I'm sleeping, I woke up in the middle, literally woke myself up to write something down because I knew I wasn't going to remember it. That's happened lots of times.
Sure.
The song "The Pledge" actually is a culmination of things I've seen, like things obviously documenting what I've experienced driving on the interstate and seeing people building the roads and stuff. But literally woke myself out of sleep one time just with the concept of like, what if I like switching spots. And I had a dream that happened. Like I literally went from being in the car to being the guy holding the sign. And then instead of being in the car driving on, going to my destination, I was right there waiting for 5 o'clock. And then at 5 o'clock, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go do this. And then I'm going to go do this. And then I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to do the same thing. Like that whole idea came to me in a dream. And I woke up and was like, I got to write this down. I got to write down the concept of this. And it helped blossom that song.
Yeah.
But cherry picking sort of involves leaving the valve open all the time. Like I'm a bit of a I guess I want to say like I'm a conductor in this way. Like I'm constantly conducting. No, that's not the word I'm looking for. Like, yeah, I guess, yeah, conduction, like electricity, basically something that conducts electricity, something that can capture voltage, something that can harness voltage and send it on. I feel like I'm that way when it comes to stories, when it comes to history. I'm a huge with history of things like that. The origin of things means everything. And it should mean everything to everyone because to see where we're going, you really got to look where you come from.
Yeah.
You got to look where we came from, what we've accomplished, what we're capable of, like as people, as a country, whatever you want, however you want to apply that. But my whole thing is, I'm not going to just come up with something creative sitting down in a room with other people. I'm going to come up with my best stuff, like Hank Williams Jr. said, out in a deer stand, out on the boat.
Real life.
Outside riding a horse, shooting my guns, like
Yeah.
fishing. Like I'm gonna come up with these moments that I capture, to immortalize experience, moments, feelings. I'm gonna need to be in a free space, and I feel like the most free space you could have is just breathing. Just a normal life, like just going about daily routine or not, or just running errands or just walking through life and just absorbing and capturing moments, things that are said, situations other people are going through, and then listening. I'm constantly listening for entendres, things like that, like hyperboles, like let's go big words, right?
Yeah,
Like
man.
I'm constantly looking for juxtapositions, like things that just intrigue me enough to go, has this been put into words? And there's so many moments that I've found myself in a new territory that someone's never put into words before. And that's a challenge for me. And that makes me want to chase after it, gun after it, and go, I want to describe this. So when you're reading it, you can taste it, see it, feel it, that you're moved by it so much that you literally feel like you're present
Yeah.
in whatever it is that you are visualizing, like whatever the story is telling you. So cherry picking's a big one. Always being open to conducting that information, constantly absorbing. I have my notes on my phone I got thousands upon thousands of just one-liners where eventually one will make sense with another. Then I combine them, and then boom, starts going like that. So I think that's probably my most lethal, like the way of putting it. That's how I'm the most lethal at songwriting and being productive. Is songwriting doesn't start and stop. It's always happening. Storytelling is always happening. No matter what the situation. And some of the best ones, like I said, will happen when you're not even planning on it.
Sure. So where's your favorite place to write a song? When you get down with the guitar or whatever you're using at that time?
Dude, honestly, in my driver's seat, in my truck, I'll come up with everything and literally record it right there on my dash. And I don't mean to tell on myself, but I'm really good at texting and driving. No, it ain't about texting. I voice text. Give me a break.
Yeah.
But that's it, man. Honestly, like just through the windshield, like just seeing it all come at me, and I would say that's the incubation. That's like sort of the volatile process of whatever's in here and basically exuding that, putting that, writing that down, jotting it down on paper, cherry picking in that process and just getting it documented, writing it down. And then the next process is what JJ likes to call putting it in the pooter. So putting it in the computer. He's like, we just need to put it in the computer. And, obviously Pro Tools and the box recording allows you to have one microphone, maybe one input. That's all you need.
Right.
And you can put it all in there. Whatever sounds, doing a demonstration is what the word demo is from. It's abbreviated down, but a demonstration of like an idea of what the song could sound like. I feel like I'm good at visualizing that, like before the first microphone is plugged in and before the first note is even played, before the first word is even sang. I feel like I can visualize what the picture of the song, the experience, what the song is going to do and how it moves, moments in the song. And I've taken it to JJ, and JJ is that composer, like I said, the producer aspect, where he takes what I'm saying and what I kind of have vision, and he puts it to the fretboard. He puts it to the notes, and sort of brings the audible aspect of the song to life. And it sort of, once again, it manifests itself through that. And then all of a sudden, both of our brains are sort of calibrated and we start bouncing off each other. Ideas. And then the song sort of just erupts out of that. And before we know it, we're sort of going back and forth, taking licks sort of back and forth of what we think might sound better or might be better, what notes, what words, what rhythm, cadence. And then, like I said, it just builds and builds itself up. There's 6 or 7 rooms to this house. My process and what I do in the truck, or what I do on the boat, what I do in my living room, just sitting there with my kids running around. Like sometimes it happens like that. My friends always say, or the family especially, they say if you see Rowdy over there mumbling, leave him alone. If you see him over there kind of looking to the sky, mumbling with his phone in his hands, let him be. He's chasing something. He's caught the scent and he's tailing something right now. So yeah, I can do it anywhere. I literally can just sometimes in the wildest of places, something will come to mind. And I just got to write it down. And everyone around me, the people that love me the most, they understand that it could happen at any moment, really.
That's awesome, man. So you've toured with some bigger acts and stuff before. You said you worked with Under Oath. Who's your favorite that you've ever toured with?
I would say my situation right now is my favorite. And just for true statute limitations, I won't be able to really embellish upon that. But I will tell you, my best touring days are yet to come. My
Awesome.
best tours that I'm going to be on are yet to come.
Well, the best tours
But and I've
you're
been
going to
on
be on
some
are going to be
damn good
Rowdy
tours.
tours, son. I'm
Dude,
telling you,
hey, let's
because
go,
dude, you're going to pop
Speak
off. You are good.
Speak it. I love it. I love it. I love people. I love moving people. I love giving people a moment to just take a breath and then just literally enjoy life. Literally for a moment, just to feel something, to move them emotionally, to want to obviously just to want to be better for themselves and their families, and the people that love them the most. But I would say like that tour with Alice in Chains and Korn was really fun. I did a tour with Ozzy Osbourne back in the mid 2000s. That was pretty fun too. It was like the year that it was free.
Yeah.
The tickets were free, and it was like we were gone for the whole summer, 90 some days. That was an adventure because we started out in a van and went from a van to an RV, and then went from an RV to nothing, and then went from a nothing to a borrowed tour bus, and then finished out the rest of the tour on another band's tour bus. Wild. And I mean, we were on a tour that was endorsed by Jaeger, Monster, and there was no shortage of any of those things at any given time. Some of the wildest nights I've ever seen in my life. They had a Brothers Grimm sideshow. It was basically like a circus show. You can imagine what 2 a.m. in the morning with unlimited amounts of Jaeger, what a circus sideshow would be like. I'll let your imagination take that one.
Sure.
So those were the more adventurous ones. Nowadays, it's way, way more civilized, more mature and professional. I'll say that these tour days I have now, it's not necessarily about because I work for an amazing artist. He's the most generous man, and I love him so much with all my heart. I literally will charge hell with a water pistol for this man. But the crew that I work with, assassins. I'm telling you, the top notch. I am in my prime. I am in the golden era of touring right now with these men, and they know who they are. And we call ourselves Turbo Tonkin. It's a crew. We've taken it over, man. Like we are like inseparable, seamless machine. Like we operate stealth. We roll in, we set a show up, we kick ass, we tear that thing down, and we take it to the next one.
That's awesome, man.
It's badass. It's the best
It's
situation
always
ever.
blown my mind how that you an arena or whatever you're setting up can be just set up within just a few hours. Go
just
off without a
depends, but man,
hitch, and then
people have to be passionate and want
Yeah.
it to go off without a hitch.
Yeah.
They have to want it.
That's awesome, man. So do you have any upcoming projects of your own that are like, I know that I just saw that you have a new song with the Handlers, and do you got any albums coming out?
We're currently sort of vetting through a song list at the moment, and always writing. Once again, we wrote a brand new one when I was down in Florida here the most recently, and it's a really cool one. It's a song about hot rods, and it sounds like hot rods.
Awesome.
It literally sounds like church at a NASCAR track is what it sounds like. Yeah, it's exactly what you would think it would be.
Yeah.
V8s and Grace,
Oh yeah.
But anyways, V8s as in like eight valve engine.
Not the drink.
For those and needing the layman term.
If anybody on here is a vegan, we're not talking about your favorite juice.
Yeah, we ain't talking about it. You ain't talking about a V8 juice. But yeah, we it's interesting because we're kind of in a place where everybody has their main jobs, more or less, and in our efforts of creating enough good problems where this becomes our main job.
Yeah.
It's obviously it's somewhere, it's in our sights, it's on the horizon, and like you are, same thing, 100 hours a week kind of thing. We spent the better part of last year kicking this thing off, and I think this year will be more or less the extension of that, and applying our time sort of just it folds, right? It's sort of like it starts out, one dimensional, and then you fold that and it's two, and you fold that and it's four, or you fold that and it's eight. It kind of grows and grows.
You learn how to do
And
that.
and it really does happen that way,
Yeah.
especially with songs, especially the process of documenting songs. So the writing songs is one process, recording of songs is one process, mixing and mastering the songs are two of their own processes. Branding the song is the whole thing, like the look, like how, kind of designs and things you want to build around it visually. Um, Uploading the song is one thing. Distributing the song is its own thing. Marketing the song is definitely its own arena. And then the longevity of that, the follow through, like all those steps again, just with repeat, sort of having to constantly repeat it. And then, having multiple songs doing the same thing. That's why people put them together in an album. Hopefully one or two will have traction. And then from there, you've got 6 or 7, maybe 8 other songs that kind of get, sort of tagging along with that. And that's how, really happens to promote a record, so to
Sure.
speak. So the vetting process is all those steps that I just listed. They're constantly revolving around each
Right.
other. It's like tracks on a tank. They just kind of keep moving and going around, and it's an assembly line. And we've so many songs. We've got them kind of narrowed down to a few that we'd like to compile. And as far as mixing them down, we do everything in house. We record our own music, we mix our own music, and these guys are, once again, they are legends, and they are tactical and lethal with their skill sets. And we're able to capture and record and get all the parts down to a song that we need, sending it off using the internet's the beautiful thing at a distance, if we're all in different places.
For sure.
But the main thing that we're doing is more on, you go by a construction site and you don't see any signs for what it is, but something's happening.
Mm-hmm.
You see the concrete's poured, you see maybe frames work, you see, electrical sticking out of the ground, you see all like the plumbing, and they're out, people out there like driving forklifts full of lumber and stuff. I would say that that's the process we're in. Like, we've got our foundation poured, we've got all of our walls ready to go up, we've got everything in order. We literally are just in a spot right now, where we just need to turn we need to turn this thing on, and that's just going to involve investment financially. It's going to be, we'd love to have any manager or record label that would possibly be interested in what I'm doing or what JJ or any of the other guys are doing. We've got all of the demonstration and demos and all the showcasing ability and all of the press work ready to go. Send to anybody that wants to listen and know what we're doing. Got a great show, got a great set list, and we've put it all on the track, and we got a real fast car on our hands.
Yeah.
Just put it in those terms. And we'd love to put out a record. We're kind of in a spot where it's like we could go straight in to recording a record, or we could release a few more singles. Either way, the songs are going to be bangers.
I bet.
The songs
I
are
know they
going
are.
to be relentless.
Yes.
So we want to come with it. We're at a spot where it's like it can kind of go go anywhere because everything's laid. The foundation for everything is there. There's a lot of stuff that's finished. Even it's just we just sort of investors, honestly, label investors.
Well,
let's go.
You guys
let's
are
do this thing.
You guys are like the modern like a hardcore ZZ Top, dude.
Dude, compliment.
Yes.
I'll take that. I love Billy Gibbons, man.
Yeah. So if you could perform with
Dusty Hill.
If you could perform with any musician, past, present, future, dead or alive, it doesn't matter, who would it be?
I've seen so many people ask this question, and I've never given it thought like who I would. I just more or less listen to what they say and just kind of gauge like, why would they say that? And a lot of people just spout off like just a fixed answer, right?
Somebody
like
that everybody's going to know.
Oh my gosh, what a question! I gotta go. See, the thing is, I gotta narrow it down to where it's like it's not about feeling as much as it is like
Well, we can break it apart.
Monumental, because there's so many different like musicians and singers or anything, but like something something that would make like a more huge impression on me if I got a chance to. I can't. I've never been able to say one, so I have a few,
All right.
and it's in sections. Um, I would love to sit in a room and hear George Jones sing.
Oh yeah.
Um, I would love to sit in a room and hear Angus Young's fingers
Oh,
through one of his Marshalls or Meza, whatever he's using. He uses both, or him and Malcolm sitting in a room and just letting them just tease off a little bit, just in the key of A. Just show me some of that, the back end and just bluesy stuff that that you took from all these great blues and soul singers and turn their melodies into guitar licks. Let's see here. I would love to be in a room and feel Freddie Mercury just like
whoa.
absolutely
Yeah.
just beltering any note, anything, just that
Just
vibration,
make the
right?
hair on the back of your neck stand up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I haven't met Dolly Parton, and that's somebody that I've loved my whole life, and I think it's just to be in the same room with her would be unbelievable. Um, yeah, I mean that's sort of that covers the gamut of things. Like
I think those are all incredible answers.
yeah, to be honest, like I feel like I would love to see, I would love to see like my great granddaddy Hobbs. After all these things that I've been a part of, I would love to just give him a snippet of what I'm doing right now, to just see him smile. That's sort of one of those guys. I'd probably like to see him more so than anybody. Like just when it comes to music, because he was sort of the one that would arrange it. He'd make everybody sing when nobody wanted to.
Yeah.
He'd make everybody harmonize when they didn't want to. He didn't sing necessarily himself, but he loved that all of his kids did, and all of his grandkids and great grandkids. So you can imagine him just sitting in a room, just cheesing like, "This is my favorite."
Yeah, man. I love that. I feel like that's a good place to wrap this thing up.
Man, it goes by fast.
I just really
It goes by
enjoyed the
so fast.
conversation and the time that you've given. I appreciate you being here. Is there any thing that you'd like to say to people who are listening to this, where they can find you? I'm going to put links to your stuff in the show notes so that they can find you. But if there's anything else you'd like to add,
Dude, absolutely. I thank you so much for having me and doing this. I'm always grateful for the generosity that's shown on these just people, you and every other host that's been curious about anything or interested in what I'm doing or any of the people that I work with are doing. It just means the world, and I don't ever take it for granted. It's a chance for me to have a good time and talk about things that I love the most. It's what's beautiful about these platforms is it's a chance for us to literally talk about the things we love,
that's right.
and what gets our goose, more or less, what gets us going, and it just revs me up, and it reminds me that there's the needle's movement. It reminds me that there's movement, there's momentum, and that's like I said, you can't teach that, and you can't just make that up. It's something that's there or it's not. But yeah, homeofthehandlers.com, home of the handlers on all the social media. Rowdy Dixie original. I know we didn't talk much about that, but as far as like the origin of things, like keeping things original to me is just like any reason to keep a seed close to the dirt. That's the only way it grows. It's the only way it knows its identity. It's the only way it knows its DNA and what its purpose is. And I feel like it's sort of that with me when it comes to story writing, when it comes to storytelling and writing songs and singing those songs, performing them, creating the vibration that moves people. It's got to have some dirt in it. It's got to have some original in it, and that's God. Keeping the core value of understanding of grace, understanding of who Christ is, understanding of what He's even his plan that he didn't need us, but he chose us, and keeping the original aspect of things tied in, the values, the principles of it, because it's easy to lose sight of meaning. It's easy to lose sight of inspiration and purpose if you don't stay close to the dirt, to the ground, to the origin of things, like where things essentially will not grow. You'll find out real fast if it's where you're supposed to be if you're not growing. And I feel like me keeping this sort of in fertile dirt and surrounding myself with people that are, doing the same thing, if not doing something greater, and always being able to turn and help out those that need it as well. Um, the handler aspect is a lifestyle. Like I said, it's not just about the music. It's about constantly bootstrapping and loving everyone around you as you would love yourself, and always being able to, always being willing to lend a hand. Um, but yeah, I once again, I keep it original. I love the South. I love Southern hospitality and generosity, and we just try to encapsulate that in our music. So, like I said, homeofthehandlers.com, home of the handlers on social media. Um, you guys check out the other band members' stuff. You can find everything on our website and on our social media. Yeah, keep up with us. Love you so much, Melty.
Love you too, brother.